The backhand flick is one of the best shots you can add to your game if you want to become more aggressive at the kitchen. But most players are making it way harder than it needs to be. Hi, I'm Ashley Griffith, a professional pickleball player on the PBA Tour, and today I'm going to be breaking down the 3 things I focus on to hit a powerful and consistent backhand flick. And make sure you stick around to the end because the last tip is what takes this from just a cool shot to an aggressive shot that actually helps you win more points. Let's get into it. Tip number 1 is going to be get your paddle tip underneath the ball. If you don't get enough space underneath the ball, you're either going to overcompensate and hit it into the net or end up opening your face and missing the ball long. So getting under the ball is huge on the backhand flick. This is a shot where we want to start from low to high in order to get that flicking motion. I see a lot of people either taking it kind of with the downward motion or straight across, but the whole point of a flick is to get under the ball and flick it. So what I really like to think of when I'm hitting a flick is get this paddle tip underneath the ball. I'm almost pointing it down towards the ground. This really helps me get under the ball, and that is our first step of the flick, getting that paddle tip down. So we want to get our paddle tip down to be able to flick and come through the ball. The flick is, of course, an upward motion to get our top spin, but it is also a forward motion into the court. So we get our paddle tip below the ball and we flick with an upward and forward motion, almost like that. It's kind of like throwing a frisbee. Almost when you're throwing a frisbee, you kind of use your wrist and flick it and throw it forward. So we get our paddle tip below the ball and we flick it forward. This is the first crucial step into having a really good flick. So there's 2 different ways that we can hit a flick. One of them is going to be more with our wrist and one more with our shoulder. So a flick that's more with our wrist, we're really going to be getting under and through the ball with our wrist. And then a flick that comes a little bit more through our shoulder, we're going to be doing the same motion, but we push up with our shoulder a little more. Personally, for me, I use my shoulder a little bit more than my wrist because as a female, my wrist isn't crazy strong like some of these guys you'll see that can really flick through the ball. So I rely on my shoulder a little bit more, I'd say, in match play because I just find it to be a little bit stronger for me, but you can do either or. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when I don't get my paddle tip under the ball on my flick. As you can see, this almost looks like more of a poke volley, and this is what I see a lot of people doing when they think they're hitting a flick. But this shot isn't really anything special, it doesn't have a lot of spin, and it's almost just a basic counter, which has its time and place, but on our flick, in order for it to be a flick and to get topspin, we got to start under it. So now I'm going to show you me really getting under the ball here on the flick. See how I'm going from low to high and getting the flicking motion. This is the most basic start to having our flick. When I first see the ball coming to me at this height, I'm going to put my paddle under it. I'm going to swing through and up on the ball. I'm going to show you another one. So get that paddle tip down before we even think about flicking the ball. And really quick, if these tips are helping your game, make sure to subscribe. I post videos every single week with pickleball tips that I learned from playing on the PBA Tour. Now, getting underneath the ball is great, but that's only half of it, which leads us to our next point. Tip number 2 is stop trying to muscle the ball. A good backhand flick comes from a compact motion, acceleration, and spin, not from a big swing. All right, now that we've got the basic motion and starting point going, we're going to talk about how we get the spin and acceleration. So I know I briefly mentioned that we want to go low to high, getting that upward motion, but we also want to be going into the court as well. So that's why we have to start down below the ball. So how do we get this spin and acceleration? So when I'm hitting a flick, I really like to think that I'm trying to meet the ball out in front of me and swing forward. That really helps with my acceleration. I don't want to be starting back at all, and I don't want to be swinging back. I want to think ball's coming, I meet it out in front, and I accelerate forward. That's how we want to get the acceleration. We don't want to get it from a big backswing. We want to think about meeting the ball and pushing forward. That's where the acceleration comes from. Now, where the spin comes from is getting low to high on the ball, really below it and up. Now, when we're flicking, we want to make sure our paddle face is neutral to the court. I don't want it open. I don't want it closed. I want it here. In order for us to get spin, we have to be brushing up and getting this motion on the ball in order to get that top spin. We won't be able to get it if we swing down or up on it. We really want to be brushing on that ball. So on my flick, I'm starting low, like I said, I'm brushing the ball and I'm accelerating forward. So like this. On the first tip, when I mentioned throwing like a frisbee, that helps us get below it. But not only do we want to get below it, we want to get through it and also up on the ball. So having that neutral face, swinging forward and up on the ball. You're gonna have to play around with this to get the right feel, because it is a mix of having brush and going up, but it is also a mix of hitting through the ball. Because obviously if we hit too through the ball, we're not gonna have any spin, and if we only hit up on the ball, we're not gonna have any power. So what I really like to think is about a 50-50 of each. That's kind of the ratio that I'm looking for in the mind, and it ends up looking like this. So it is a lot of forward, but it is a quick upward and brushing motion. I want it to be an aggressive shot. I don't want it to be a push or a super, weak and risky shot. I want you to really go for it, commit to it, and push through the ball. Now, I mentioned in the last tip that the power can come from the wrist or the shoulder, depending on what you're comfortable with and how strong your wrist is. If it's coming more from your shoulder, it's going to be the same exact thing. You just have to move that motion through the arm. If it comes through the wrist, then you're really going to have to push through with your wrist. It doesn't matter how you do it. Pros do both. It's really a comfort level thing. A lot of those guys with great flicks have a very strong wrist, but a lot of females do end up using the shoulder just because we don't have the strength there. Really, you just have to do whatever's most comfortable for you. So now I'm going to show you how I get the good spin and acceleration by showing you the first point, meeting the ball and pushing it out in front. See how I'm really meeting it out in front and I'm pushing forward? I'm not swinging back. I'm putting all my weight forward. I'm using my core and my legs, and I'm getting nice and low, and I'm pushing through my stomach and through my legs forward into the ball. I'm going to show you again. See how I'm really pushing through the ball. Now I'm going to switch the angle and show you the brush I'm getting on the ball and how I do that. So now I really want you to pay attention to the amount that I brush up as well as I'm brushing through, because that upward motion is how we're going to get the topspin on the ball and get that nice dipping flick. Without that, that's just kind of a backhand volley and poke. Now I'm going to show you one more time. Really watch this motion of my paddle coming up. So as you're flicking, really focus on accelerating and generating your topspin through the ball. Now, even if you have an amazing backhand flick, if you don't know the right time and the right spot to hit it, it doesn't matter. And that leads us to our last tip. Tip number 3 is be intentional about when and where you're attacking. The goal of the backhand flick isn't always to hit a winner. It's to set you up for the next shot. Okay, so our last and most important tip is knowing when and where to flick the ball. So when do we hit our backhand flick? When is this a good shot to take? So the backhand flick is a shot that we want to use when we're not taking it off the bounce, we're not hitting our 2-week counter. It is a shot that we want to reach in to the kitchen and have more extended reach and still attack the ball. Of course, there are other times we can use it, but that is generally what the flick is used for and how we can get the best shot out of it. When we're at the kitchen and let's say there's a nice short attackable ball there, but I can't get it with my backhand, I can't get it with my forehand, this flick gives us the extra reach to really come in and attack that ball. Now, on the basic flick, what is the target? What is the spot that we want to hit on it? Now, we can hit a lot of spots on the flick. Obviously, the better you get at the flick, you can go line, you can go cross, you can go middle, anywhere you want to go, you can go angle. But commonly, if we're going to use the flick as an attack, I like the down the line speed up shot at the person's body. So this is a great way to use the flick. If I'm on the left or the right side, I reach in for the short ball and I flick it right at the chest of the person in front of me. Now, when you watch professional pickleball, this is a spot that a lot of players are flicking to. It's super effective and it's a great aggressive shot. Just like if we get a high ball on the forehand, we're probably going to pop it back right to the person in front of us. That's high percentage. They don't have a lot of a time to react and it's a great attack. So now I'm going to go through and show you a couple balls, ones that I would flick on and ones that I might not flick on, so you can get an idea of the height that I flick off of and the height that I might just take that as a dink or a backhand counter on. That one was right at my body, nice and high kind of here, so I just popped my backhand counter on that shot. I didn't really need to do the flick. I stayed short and compact. I just kept my 2 hands on it. Super easy like that, right? We don't have to force a flick there. Now that one, I just took a backhand dink off the bounce there, right? It was a little deep. I didn't really want to force it as a flick. I didn't really think I could get the attack on that. So I just took a step back, dinked that one back in. Now that one, that was the pop-up that we want. That's where it was just a little bit short and high. I could reach in and I could flick and attack the ball. And that is what's so awesome about the flick. Rather than having to take a step back and hit a backhand or reach in with my chewy, I was able to pop in, get aggressive on that, and attack. And that is what is so important about the flick. So now I'm going to show you the ideal target I'm going for when I flick aggressively in the point. So we're going to dink, we're going to play out the point a little, and the second I get that pop-up, I'm going to go for the aggressive flick right at his body. That's the spot we want to get. We get aggressive and we jam him there. So really look to reach in, get aggressive on your flick, take advantage of those short balls, and start off attacking at the body of the person down the line. Then as you get more and more comfortable with the flick, you can start adding in the cross court, the middle, the angle, all those types of things. So remember, get underneath the ball, generate spin and accelerate instead of trying to muscle it, and be intentional about when and where you're attacking. Work on these 3 things and your backhand flick is going to become a much more dangerous shot. If this video helped you, make sure to like and subscribe to see more pickleball tips from me. And if you want to see more of me, make sure to check out my Instagram that I'll have linked down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.